After first refusing to answer the question, the Prime Minister Theresa May has now revealed that she did know about the Trident missile test failure, but did not tell MPs before they voted to replace the UK's 4 nuclear submarines at a cost of more than £30 billion. This is what she said on Sunday to the BBC's Andrew Marr.
There are tests that take place all the time regularly for our nuclear deterrence. What we were talking about in that debate that took place was about
I'm not going to get an answer to this.
And this was what she said yesterday.
I'm regularly briefed on national security issues. I was briefed on the successful certification of HMS Vengeance and her crew. We don't comment on the operational details for national security reasons.
Well, do you have sympathy for the Prime Minister, who may be concerned not to speak openly about the UK's national security? Or do you think Theresa May now owes Parliament an apology, or perhaps even more than an apology, an opportunity to vote again, now that we know what happened with the test failure just before the actual vote in Parliament last year? Phil Kelly's with us from the Northern Ireland Labour Party, and Steve Aiken from the Ulster Unionist Party, a former captain of a nuclear submarine himself. Welcome to both of you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What do you think, Phil?
Well, who are we hiding this information from? I mean, the Americans knew about it, the Russians knew about it, and the only people who were not informed were us, the mugs and the dupes, the taxpayers who have to fork out the £100 billion plus to pay for this ridiculous scheme. So this essentially is an unusable American-controlled monstrosity which undermines real, usable defence spending and bankrupts us. And this Tory government cannot hide behind state secrets. Back in March, Emily Thornberry quizzed Michael Fallon on the growing opinion that this was going to be obsolete long before 2030, when it's meant to come online. And Michael Fallon played the "it's classified" card in dodging that question. I want to read you a quote, 2 quotes, just to put this debate into some frame. The first quote is this, quote, "Nuclear weapons have shown themselves to be completely useless as a deterrent to threats." That's not Jeremy Corbyn, it's not C&D, it is Field Marshal Lord Bramwell speaking. And the second quote's this, quote, "Strategic nuclear weapons have no military use." That's Major General Patrick Cordingley. So let's have an open debate about this. This missile, which was fired at Florida, no doubt programmed to hit Moscow, is more evidence of a Tory party government that can only deliver chaos and a nightmare.
Sorry, I'll right. Keep on going. I'll get to that.
You were enjoying this too much, weren't you?
Oh, I know.
Oh, come back in. First of all, before we get to some of the points Phil's just made, Steve, do you think the Prime Minister was right not to directly answer that question?
Yes, she was, because the convention is very clear. The Prime Minister or anybody in responsible position in government shouldn't be discussing the deterrent, shouldn't be discussing submarine operations, and indeed shouldn't discuss special forces operations. That's been the convention. That's been the convention since way back when the first nuclear deterrent went to sea, which of course was under a Labour government, because Labour, of all the political parties, they were the people who introduced and decided to fund the British nuclear programme right in the beginning. They're the ones who were very much behind Polaris when it came into force. They were the ones who were very much behind Cheveline. And behind the scenes, they were very much behind bringing on Trident. And indeed, until recently, sort of the Labour Party have actually had a very responsible view towards the defence of the United Kingdom. And indeed, the deterrent is one of the key things from it.
So we understand that this missile system has been tested 5 times. It cost $17 million for this test.
No, William, it hasn't. It's been tested 120 odd times. Just let's get to this point at the moment. The missile, the bit with the warhead would be on and the bit that is fired out of the submarine, they're a joint pool between the United States Navy and the Royal Navy. And those missiles, what happens when the submarine completes refit? It goes into a place called Kings Bay in Georgia. A missile is selected at random from the United States Navy and the Royal Navy stocks. It is put in the submarine. The submarine goes to sea. It's a fully instrumented missile. It's just like a rocket that you would put up into space. The submarine goes out, it goes through the trials, it goes through all the sort of the missile firing drills, and it fires a missile that goes down the range, and ideally it would go down the range all the way down towards somewhere just south of Ascension Island. And that would be tracked all the way through its flight and all the rest of it.
Well, how did it end up going towards Florida then?
Well, who knows if it went through Florida. I mean, let's be honest about it. We read about it in the Sunday Times. It is the Murdoch-gram, so who knows exactly what happened. But the reality is it's a fully instrumented rocket range, and the missile would not have veered off. And if the weapon was self-destructed at one stage or another, it would be because there was a failure at some part of the launch sequence. Now, the reality is we test missiles. We test weapon systems. This one was tested.
How often
there was
are
an
they
issue
tested,
with
Steve?
it, and it was sorted. Say again?
How often are they tested?
Between ourselves and the United States Navy, they probably do two missile firings a year, I would think.
So this one that failed, was that one out of two or one out of how many that failed?
Oh, no, that probably actually that's probably about one out of, I think, just looking at the NASA figures and looking at some of the figures from the United States Navy, it's probably about one out of about 115 or 116, which is pretty good reliability.
Over the lifetime of this system so far.
Yeah, over the lifetime of the system. And remember, the system is constantly being upgraded. And I will obviously not go into details, but the weapon system over periods of time is upgraded. And you would look at various components within the missile that you would change over and the rest of it. It's just like a space rocket. It is a space rocket.
We've already heard, Phil, your passionate moral objection to nuclear weapons per se. Can I just set that aside because we're not debating the rightness and wrongness of nuclear weapons? Do you think Parliament should vote again with this new information?
Absolutely. And I at no stage said I'm morally opposed to nuclear weapons or a pacifist on any level. What I'm saying is this system, and Michael made the point.
You sounded to me like you were morally opposed to nuclear weapons.
Michael made a strong point of one of my biggest issues with this, that it's sold as an independent nuclear deterrent. He just mentioned Keens Bay, Georgia.
You're talking about
But
Steve
it is
Steve.
It is an independent.
So the missiles are leased
nuclear
from America. They require navigational help and weather data from America.
No, they don't.
From Omaha, Nebraska. So you don't think
they don't.
Okay.
No, so again, and one of the things is that people, when they're trying to talk about something, the key to this as well, the missile system and without going into too many details, it has an internal navigation system. It's got a method of navigating itself. The submarine can navigate very accurately. There is nothing about the system that the United States has control over. When that submarine goes to sea, it is a fully independent nuclear deterrent controlled by the United Kingdom.
All right. Where do we get the missiles from?
We buy the missiles from the United States.
All right. Is that what you mean?
Not only the missiles and submarine technology is complete copycat of US technology, so it's completely dependent on...
Just to stop you there, no, it's not. The actual submarine itself, with the exception of the some of the missile firing equipment, is all UK technology.
Oh, that's okay. So the canteen on the nuclear submarine is British made. The bunks are British made, but the nuclear firing system is based on American technology. I know what worries me.
No, it is not. I can assure you. Having been in command of area of the submarines,
don't talk over each
that's
other.
not the case.
Stephen, because I did let you cut in there. I mean, the main point for me is that Parliament needs to look at this and look at whether this is sensible military spend. And I've just quoted two senior figures in the military. There's many others.
They've already had a vote.
Yes, but this is new knowledge, and also that vote was taken, I think, in a very unopen way. We need to look at this. We are already not out of a financial crisis. There's already storm clouds within Europe and across the globe. If another financial crisis hits, Trident could be an expensive cancellation.
We did all that last year when we had the vote. Do you think MPs, you think these intelligent people who vote on our behalf in Parliament will be surprised that from time to time when you do a test of any kind of technology, that you'll get failures from time to time and that you would learn from the failures and correct the systems?
Absolutely not, because Tom Dugginghat, a Tory MP, said yesterday 98% in Parliament, 98% success rate in testing is still excellent and shows we are 100% ready. I think it's deeply concerning. This is a system that's going to be obsolete. Let's have a real debate around it and see what £100 billion could be used to do in
All
our
right,
society.
let's go to the phone lines. Ian first. Hello, Ian. Welcome.
Hello. Yes, thank you very much.
What do you think of Trident at this point, now that we know about this test failure, Ian?
The test is really basically irrelevant. We, by treaty, have to inform Russian military that we are about to test the system.
In case they get the wrong idea.
Exactly. And they, by treaty, have to inform us in the West that they are going to test.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
That is good. Now, so why they wouldn't tell Parliament when Mr. Putin knew that the test had been wrong, because we would then have to inform him that there had been a malfunction and we weren't sure where the missile was actually going to end up. So, I mean, now, and for the gentleman who was on a little earlier that night, I missed his name,
Steve Aiken,
saying that we have a fully independent nuclear deterrent. Could any of us listen to that and say, is there any conceivable time or crisis that Britain would launch her nuclear weapons against another nuclear power? I don't think so.
That would be Armageddon, wouldn't it?
But that's not the point. It's
perhaps the other nuclear power, which I will not mention, could possibly survive.
And Steve's point there is
could Britain survive?
Ian, Steve's point is it's a deterrent. You don't want to use it, but if the other side have them, you need to have them. That's the argument.
Britain only has a nuclear weapon because she wants to remain in with the big boys.
The big boys.
America, if Britain decided that she was, in a moment of madness, going to launch nuclear weapons, America would say no, and Britain would not launch. That is simple. So it is not an independent.
Steve, do you agree with that in terms of the politics of it all?
No, I don't. And it's the country's ultimate insurance policy.
Nobody's ever going to use them, though, right?
But
let's go back. The man is talking as if it is independent. It is not independent.
Ian, give him some credit. He used to run one of these nuclear submarines. He knows how they work.
It is independent. The whole system is independent. When the submarine goes to sea, it is independent from any other nation's control apart from the United Kingdom. The whole firing chain is independent and is run from the United Kingdom. Without going into any details, the whole thing is independent.
Could launch nuclear weapons against the Soviet or Russia without agreement with the United States? If Britain did launch for any reason, Russia would retaliate.
Okay, Ian, we've got to go to the other calls. I'm nearly out of time. Got to go to the other calls. I think you're disagreeing on the nature of the independence. Can I just say that? I think Steve Aiken's talking about the technological and the military independence of that system, and Ian's saying we're part of a connected world and the United States is involved often in these kinds of military decisions with Britain, so he doesn't believe that there will be full political independence. That's part of the debate, of course. Damien, welcome.
Hey, William. William, I know that mistakes sometimes happen with weapon systems. You know, you'd hear of a US airstrike or a missile strike maybe blowing up a wedding party in Afghanistan or destroying a factory in Sudan or something like that. You know, it'll be like the fifth item in the news or page 16 of the Times or something like that. But a nuclear missile going astray, and we're told that maybe it was over towards Florida when it was meant to be somewhere in the Atlantic off Africa. You're not going to bury that in page 16 of the Times if it hits Orlando or Miami.
It's a good point. Steve Aiken, quick response to that. If that were to actually happen in the context of nuclear war, would the missile explode on that false target or would it be taken out on the way?
I'm not going to discuss that, and obviously those issues would be considered to be completely classified. But the point of the deterrence is, and it might sound paradoxical, but it is not to be used. It's the threat of its use.
William,
for the threat of it to be successful, people need to understand when the weapon system, if it had to be used, it would only be used in the most trying and difficult of circumstances.
Damien, very briefly, please, sir.
Yeah, I mean, you're just ignoring the fact. You talked about the intelligent people in our parliament. I would really hope they are intelligent, and I would really hope they consider the fact that this is such a powerful, destructive weapon that it must be guaranteed to be controlled.
Okay, Damien, thank you very much. I've got to go to a final call. I think what Steve was saying is he won't sign the Official Secrets Act. That's why he didn't answer your question. Let's go to Jim. Hello, Jim.
Hello there. Everybody seems to have assumed that this missile went astray by accident. Could this not have been a test to see how we recover a missile that does go astray? In other words, the test was we're going to fire a missile that will appear to go astray by accident.
Oh, right, then it wouldn't have been a failure. It would have been a success, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
You should be a spin doctor, Jim.
I was in a previous life.
I can believe that. Who did you spin for?
Oh, all sorts of people. I could name names here, but like I've signed Official Secrets Act.
And get your job in the Ministry of Defence. That's not a bad line.
That's not a bad line at all. Jim, thank you very much. you make of that?
Can I say this?
That's a little bit too, yes, Prime Minister, for your liking, is it?
Independent of logic and reason, Trident.
Oh, no. Definitely not. Definitely not.
Thank you both very much. Thanks to Phil Kelly from the Northern Ireland Labour Party.